Greetings and salutations. Well,
What's up, everybody?
welcome back to the Wise Man Podcast. Tonight we got a pretty serious episode. I forgot. I'm Louie. I am the master of battery-powered lawn equipment.
I'm DMAT, and I rip demon throats.
I'm Jesse, and I am not prepared for this.
It's
we thought we
funny.
tried
something new.
Or something.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us tonight. We are going to be covering, this will be our episode 23, Route 91, the Las Vegas Massacre, 6 years later. This is going to be an intense episode. There's a lot to go over. This is something, we want to just go ahead and throw it out there. This isn't something that we are stating that never happened. This was a real event. People got hurt. People died. It was very traumatic for all involved. What we are contending, I guess you could say, is the facts of it. What actually happened. There's the real, what's it called? The
Narrative.
news stories that came out, the narrative that's out there, and then there's other things facts, I guess you could say, what we believe to be facts that are also.
Right.
Well, there is facts behind it that disapprove the narrative, but we'll talk about that.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So there's a separate counter narrative that we are going to cover tonight. So if before we get too deep into it, though, if you could give us a like, some follows on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. What else we got?
YouTube. We just got our YouTube going.
Right. That's right. Our YouTube
Our YouTubes are it's our hottest social right now.
Yeah,
so.
Facebook is kind of slow, but YouTube hasn't kicked us off again. Which, if you don't know, when we first started this whole podcast thing, we tried 3 different times to start a YouTube channel, and would instantly get kicked off. The last one, it took them an hour to get rid of us.
Terrible failure.
So I think we figured it out. We got some shorts, we got some videos. We're putting all our stuff on there. We're gonna throw it on Rumble as well. What else we got? Anyway, just follow us on all of it. The Wise Men.
Yeah. If it has a search bar, type in our name. See if we pop up.
Right. And sometimes it's not all one word.
Yeah, I knew you were going.
Sometimes it's not all one word. Sometimes it's 3 separate words in case you can't find us. So
we'll fix that eventually.
Probably not.
Yeah.
All right. So the Ripper of Throats is going to take us through the official narrative of the Las Vegas Massacre.
Yep. So before we get started, though, I do want to give a 10-second period of silence for all the victims and the people that suffered through this terrible, terrible tragedy. Okay, all right, let's dive right into it. So today is October 1st. It is the anniversary of the Route 91 concert festival, where what took place was a very devastating period in time. Actually, one of the, if not the worst single-person mass shootings ever recorded in United States history. So getting into it, the Las Vegas shooting, it revolved around a mass murderer. His name is Stephen Craig Paddock. If you don't know anything about him, go ahead and look him up. You can get a bunch of information online about him. So the official narrative is that Paddock opened fire into a crowd of 22,000 concert goers attending the country music festival located just off of Las Vegas Boulevard, across the street from Mandalay Bay. There's a little intersection there. And it was on the southeast side of the Strip. Jesse, I mean, you're a Las Vegas native. This area was, you'd say, is the the beginning of the strip, right?
But yeah, south end, right? Yes, or yeah,
Right.
yeah, kind
That
of
south end, and then
south end of the strip. Yeah, kind of the beginning of like the actual the mainstream strip, right?
right. So Paddock is he was held responsible for 60 people killed, injuring 867 others, with at least 413 that were wounded, specifically by gunfire. The incident, like I said earlier, is the deadliest shooting by an alone shooter in U.S. history. Paddock's motive was completely unknown and still unjustified till this day, which is a very interesting thing when you have a suspect involved in a homicide, and there's usually a motive that points the direction of why this person did what they did, and it actually shows a lot of roots and origin to the situation. So Paddock's interest was he was a guy who was really invested in real estate. He was a property manager. He was an accountant. He was a private pilot. He was also he was really heavily into the gambling scene, which, as a Las Vegas, person of his attire, they're going to be involved in some sort of gambling
Yeah. Yeah, I think he lived in
stuff for
Pahrump.
sure.
I think he might have lived in Pahrump, which is
Yeah.
about an hour outside.
Well,
of Vegas.
he lived in Mesquite, Nevada. I'm not
Mesquite.
sure where that
Okay.
is.
Mesquite-
Where's Mesquite? Where's Mesquite
I
at?
think Mesquite's about an hour northeast, somewhere around there, 45 to an hour northeast, maybe a little bit longer than that.
Gotcha. So just to give us a little bit more background of who Stephen Paddock was, we'll talk a little bit about his early years and his education. But Paddock was born in Clinton, Iowa. He grew up in Tucson, Arizona, and he also grew up in the Sun Valley neighborhood of LA. He was the oldest of four sons, who his parents were Benjamin Paddock and Dolores Hudson. His father was a known bank robber who was arrested and caught in 1960. Paddock, he had studies done at California State University, also had a degree in business and administration.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, interesting stuff about this guy. I'm telling you, when you kind of look at his background, interesting stuff. So
Makes sense, kind of ties in a little bit.
leading after his education and getting into his career base, he worked as a letter carrier for the United States Postal Service. He was there working with them from 1975 to 1978. After that, he worked at the IRS, which is the International Revenue Service. He worked there until 1984. So we're going to go through his careers. He's jumped around quite a few different things. In 1985, he worked as an auditor for the Defense Contract Audit Agency. Toward the end of the 1980s, he also worked for 3 years as an internal auditor for a company that later merged into and what formed Lockheed Martin.
Ooh.
So,
wow. I remember hearing that.
Any of you guys have any information about Lockheed Martin for the viewers or anything like that?
Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, right? That's where supposedly they're making UFOs, or reverse engineering.
Yeah, they're a huge part of the military-industrial complex, and now their name is actually becoming super popular right now, especially with the UFO disclosure stuff. That's really bringing a lot of attention to them. But they've been responsible for a lot of different things. Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and all these other military-industrial complex industries, they kind of like make me think of like Tony Stark.
Yeah,
and like
right. But
Stark Industries.
Kind of a little bit more evil, though. Yeah.
Oh no, 100%, 100%, right? And on top of that, after he was being a part of Lockheed Martin and everything like that, so he managed real estate properties and he became an avid gambler, and this is how he started to make a lot of his money. Like, this guy was not a cheap person. He was sending hundreds of thousands of dollars to relatives, girlfriends, across international waters, and wiring money all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also known to be like a high roller gambler.
Yeah.
He was seen in these, high roller institutes that were in these casinos.
Yep.
And when you're involved in things like that, you're meeting certain people, like you're coming across a bunch of high rolling, individuals, like people that are millionaires, if not billionaires, right? They're just kind of spitting money all over the place. So leading into this, a lot of things that people say that contributed to what he was held responsible for that night is that he was an alcoholic. He started drinking a lot. He started gambling like crazy. And he also was known to be taking a lot of prescribed medications. Like he was taking a lot of Valium. He had really bad anxiety. And he started at the end of his life, probably within the last year and a half, he started buying tremendous amount of weapons, at least that were documented into his hands, into his name. And all this is traced back, through the information that the ATF piled up on him and so on and so forth. So getting into the shooting started at 10:05 p.m. and the information is that he fired more than 1,000 rounds. His hotel room that he stayed in, which was located in the Mandalay Bay, which is actually where we also had our groomsmen bachelor party dinner.
Yeah, we stood out on the foundation room's balcony and was able to look over the concert site where the Route 91 festival was. It was pretty eerie, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's crazy. Like, especially when I walked down and we were at the pavilion in the front and we were kind of walking out towards the intersection out there where the bullets were technically like flying over into this crowd. I looked back at the Mandalay Bay and I'm like, holy crap, man. Like, I'm actually standing in a piece of history that's going to go on to the world ends pretty much. But like, just imagining that scene as a first responder personally, it puts a lot of things in perspective. But the thing is too, is that it didn't look like it was a very far shot like people were claiming it to be, because it really wasn't that far.
No, it's jump and a skip. It's like right across the street, literally.
Right. So the hotel room that he got that night in the Mandalay Bay was 32-135. He checked into the hotel on September 25th, which was 6 days before the shooting, with 10 gun range bags or duffel bags or suitcases, whatever you want to call them, and a computer. On the 29th, he moved into an additional suite, which was 32-134. So these two suites were connected to each other to where he can go in through an access door and then go into the other suite. And this is kind of where you see with the pictures of the Mandalay Bay, you see the two windows that were blown out. This is the narrative. And he was known to bring up multiple amounts of weapons. Like, the amount of weapons that he brought up there, it's crazy that no one like questioned really what the hell he was doing, or, man, you got a lot of heavy ass bags and there feels like metal in here or something. But we know those bellboys or whoever, doesn't really give a shit about anything. They just care about a tip. But so the weapons that were included, we're going to go through them. So they included 14 AR style weapons, 8 308 AR-10s, 1 308 Ruger bolt action, 1 38 special, and these AR-15 rifles were claimed to be outfitted with bump stocks, and we'll get into that kind of stuff later. I'm sure you guys got a bunch of good stuff on that.
Yeah.
So his setup was set up with a lookout, which was giving him optics down the hallway of that 32nd floor. And so what he set up was a baby monitor camera on top of a service cart. You know how you see like they walking around with towels on them and got all this other stuff on them, right? So he set this camera up out there to give him an idea of giving himself his own security or his own surveillance for what he's getting ready to do, right? So he knows people are going to come after him. And what had happened is that a security guard had seen some suspicious activity up there and with the baby monitor picking up a security guard coming to the door, Paddock shot 35 rounds through the door, injuring the security guard, and then this is what also activated a lot of response. To get into a little bit more depth information, we'll talk about the police response. The police response was, at first, it was 2 officers that responded at 10:17, and they made it to the 32nd floor around that time. This is all documented through dispatch. They were waiting for backup at that time, but as they were waiting for backup, they were clearing rooms. And as they were clearing rooms, 8 more officers show up at around 10:26, 10:30 p.m. And they joined up with the squad of 2. And later on, at 10:55 p.m., again, they haven't made any contact with Paddock at this time. 8 SWAT team members entered the 32nd floor through the stairwell. And once all the rooms were cleared off of the 32nd floor, which all rooms were cleared at 11:20 p.m., which this is 65 minutes after Paddock ceased fire, police breached his room, finding him with a gunshot to the head, and he was known to commit suicide. And I know that when they were later investigating a lot of other things after the fact, that they found over 1,600 rounds of ammunition in his vehicle that was in the parking lot, that they found 50 pounds of tannerite, and that they found ammonium nitrate. They found a bunch of other things that could have alluded to the fact that he had more nefarious ideas. So I guess we'll go in from there. And the biggest thing that interests me was the police response. Now, Louis is a SWAT member, and he's got a lot of experience in this field. I guess I start off by asking you the question, what do you think of the police response? And I know that, I think you even said that you were listening to radio traffic, right?
Yeah.
That was going on live?
When this event happened, obviously it hit the news, and so I pulled it up on my phone. It's just free app. It's just radio's a scanner app, right? And it had the Las Vegas PD on there. So I was listening to it. I was listening to them, the traffic that was going on inside the hotel when they got up into the stairwell in the hallway, before they went down the hallway to the guy's room. I want to say I got a call because I was at work. I want to say I got a call and didn't get to hear the ending of it, but I heard that stuff.
What, as a SWAT member, what is it that, I guess is it a freelance game? How exactly do you guys go about SWAT? Are you guys given an order and you guys just kind of go in and
yeah,
do what you got to do?
There's always a plan that gets punched out to us. We get alerted, we get together, and like if we're going to make an approach on a room and like to assault this room, if there's the way it goes is obviously you're assigned your particular team. There'll be like an alpha team, bravo team, containment team, stuff like that. But typically, like if you hear gunshots, like you're moving fast. Gunshot stop, it becomes a little more methodical. So if they were on scene at the hallway, they're going to be moving fast to get as fast as they can to get there. Hotel doors I can't imagine they're the easiest to breach. So like there's got to be a plan to breach the door.
Right.
I don't know what they did in order to breach, if they did like an explosive breach or if they were able to just ram it to get inside. But if he wasn't like actively shooting while they were out in the hallway, they probably took a little more time to do it.
So in this scenario, do you think that them breaching his room specifically, which I think his room was the furthest down the hall, correct? I think looking at the images of where the windows were blown out, I think it was towards the end of the hallway. And I'm assuming that, you guys are going to end up clearing the rooms that are closest to the interior part of the building, right? Closest towards the middle, and then moving distal, I guess.
If we know where it's coming from, there's a good chance that you'll bypass everything else. And you're
Right.
gonna have guys that'll be like looking, right? You're not just necessarily ignoring like those
Right.
doors don't exist, but like if you have if you it's like known location of the suspect, then there's no
Mhm.
reason for you to clear everything else necessarily.
Right. Is there anything fishy like that you see about I guess the time that it took to breach his room? I guess it took 65 minutes. I mean, I don't think there's anything. Again, like I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback
Well,
this.
I'd
You know.
say like SWAT isn't a fast response. Like if SWAT's involved, it takes time to get there. I don't
Mhm.
know if Vegas has like a full-time team, but if they don't have a full-time like
I'm pretty
team,
sure they do. Yeah.
okay. I mean, it would make sense that they would, but like at the time of day, like most full-time guys are like 8 to 5, so that's what they do, but they're just training, right? And then they're on call. So it would take those guys time to get there. Uh, it probably took time to just even figure out where this guy was shooting from, right?
Right. Right.
So like it isn't a fast thing, and then you got to figure out, all right, if he's on this floor, are we sure he's in this room? We're positive. All right, then still got to make a plan. It's not just rushing in necessarily.
Right. Well, in this scenario, the security guard got shot, right? So they knew exactly where he was at that point.
Okay, and how long was
That's a
that?
good.
Right?
Right.
How long was into the scenario was that?
So that was at. Let me take a look here. Do 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 do. I lost it, but I think it had to be around. So the shooting started at I think it was 10:07, something like that. So if the first shot into the crowd, the issue with the security guard I think came just before that. I think this is what ramped him up to then go, holy shit, I gotta get done,
Okay,
or
so right at the very beginning, security guard gets shot. Um, response. Let's say the response starts from there. 65 minutes later, I'd say that's probably pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
For a
realistic.
SWAT team to get there,
Right.
like an hour
Gear
and
up,
5 minutes,
leave your
gear up,
house, gear up.
make a
Yeah,
plan, do all the things.
that's pretty kind of quick. I mean, it's a small, big city. You can get anywhere in 30 minutes, but still, it's like that's not a long that's not a you know, it's a pretty good response time. I think that makes sense.
So the first shot was at 10:05. That's when it was 10:05, according to the resources online. So I know, especially like when this took place, I mean, it was on like everyone's Snapchat, it was on everyone's Instagram. People were posting videos, and a lot of these people that went through it, they have their own stories too about what happened. And I think those stories are super important to like, debrief on the side. But I think that a lot of those stories also go against the official story per se. I mean, there's even a lot of stories that there were multiple shooters from different angles. Uh, you know, audio of
There was
gunshots coming from
there was
opposite of Mandalay Bay.
there was over 500 911 calls, and they were scattered up and down the strip, up and down.
That's
It
crazy.
was coming from ground. It was coming from air. There was a lot of uh, bullshittery going on with this whole operation. So
What do you think went down that night? Do you think it was
so
not as official
let
as
me
they
just
as they say?
I'll tell my story because I was in Vegas and I was I've lived in Vegas since 2006. I moved from New York, but it's 2017. I was at my buddy Jason's house, and we're drinking, having a fun time. And yeah, I'd say, yeah, it's probably somewhere around 10, 11 o'clock. And I got a phone call from a coworker of ours, and he was running. And he was, we're getting shot at, we're getting shot at. He's just losing his mind, like, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And he's like, you can't hear that, you can't hear that. And I'm listening to it like real close, and I was on the phone with him for like, I don't know, 10 minutes. And yeah, at one point you could hear faint automatic fire in the background. Really disturbing. So that was very disturbing. And, you know, at the time, me and my buddy were just drinking. We're like, what the fuck? And I was telling, I don't want to say his name, but I was telling him, like, hey, buddy, like, and we had work tomorrow, the next day, I think. I think I can't remember what day. What day was that? Do you remember? I thought it was a weekend the next day. Regardless.
You mean what day October 1st was?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
I'm assuming a weekend, right?
It doesn't matter. My GM for my company was at the festival and left early. My soon-to-be, he eventually ended up being a office guy, but another coworker of mine, higher up guy, was there. A bunch of coworkers of mine went there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And later on, I actually ended up a year later or so, 2-3 years later, I run into people all the time that were there. And I ran into one lady, and she was telling me about it. And I think this might have been a month or a year later. I think it was over a year. And she was just telling me she had to go to, you know, therapy, and her husband were both there. And they were right next to somebody that was shot directly in the head. And it just is so traumatizing. Dude. And so I've heard, you know, first-hand account stories from people, and it's really disturbing. It's really sad. But my thoughts on all of this are particular and different because of a documentary I watched. And this documentary is called Route 91, Uncovering the Cover-Up of the Vegas Mass Shooting. And this documentary was made by an investigative journalist, Mindy Robinson, from Vegas. And I'll just give you, on October 1st, 2017, 58 people were killed at the Route 91 country music concert in Las Vegas. And by 2 weeks, the media dropped the entire story due to all the lies and holes in the police and FBI's story. These are all the things they've covered up about the tragedy that they don't want you to know about. Mindy Johnson produced this documentary and has disclosed that YouTube is actively hiding the video. So this video, this documentary, maybe we can try to find a way to put it in the description or something like that. We can try to find a way to do that, but it's really hard to find online. But it's a very disturbing documentary. I remember when I watched it with my wife, we cried the first time we watched it. It was just, there's so much evidence. There's so many testimonies of people that were there. And it's just disturbing, you know. It's really sad. It's disturbing. This documentary, in my personal opinion, I've watched it twice now, and it's been a while since I watched it, but it undoubtedly proves that the narrative from the media that it was one shooter is 100% false. 100% false. And that's because of all the testimonials and the videos. There's so much evidence. It's undeniable at this point. And I don't know if you want to bring up the first video, if you got anything in mind. Where should we start with that?
So I guess we could start off that we'll just talk about what was kind of like in the area that night, as far as, you know, helicopters, planes, things in the sky. I'm not saying UFOs did this shit, but but what I'm saying is that there's easy apps you can download on your phone where you can navigate and you could see what's in the air, what's taking off, where's it going. And so in the documentary too, it showed that there was helicopter radar footage that showed to turn off their responders, and the route that they took was from north of the strip, coming from north of the strip, and they were coming down over the Route 91 concert festival location, and as soon as they went over the location, their transmitters were turned off.
Right, and I believe this specifically this helicopter base was a tour helicopter company that would give tours. I believe it's called Maverick, and I think they closed down. That might be in the video, but I think they closed down like literally right after this happened. And I remember this company. I had a buddy that worked for this company too, which is crazy.
What company?
I think it's called Maverick. I believe it's called Maverick.
Oh, the helicopter company. Okay.
That's where they took off.
So, gotcha. So we're gonna show you guys this clip, and see what we're talking about.
Detailed breakdown of radar imagery from that night that shows covert actions by aircraft that the LVPD never tried to explain or even acknowledge.
That it disappeared from the media like 2 weeks later. Nobody talks about it now. As much as guns and gun rights and people are always trying to get rid of the second amendment, like this never comes up. It's gone. Like it is a blip.
Right.
It happened 2 weeks later, nothing.
Yeah. Like you think, senators or representatives would use this as like
they did.
Yeah,
the media.
Yeah,
the media
but I think they shut up about it though.
Yeah, because the media stopped covering because there's too many holes in the story and the narrative, right?
Oh, sure.
But of course, the politicians they tried to mention this before, just like any other mass shooting. Of course.
Well, they could have even been told to shut the hell up from like deep state,
Maybe.
ops. I mean, like.
Yeah.
People like, hey, look, I know we want to. This is perfect for our agenda, but shut the fuck up.
What year was the Parkland shooting in the school?
So the Parkland was Valentine's Day.
What year?
And that's funny because I even went to that high school.
Oh my God, did you really?
That was the high school I went to. Yeah.
Oh my God, you went to Parkland?
You know what's even more crazier is that my dad teaches at a delinquent school in Coconut Creek down in South Florida, and the kid was in his class.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me that.
The kid was suspended, okay, and he was put in a delinquent school, and he was in my dad's class. My dad even said that he would draw like demons on a paper and all kinds of stuff, and that the FBI even came in there and even asked him for his file pretty much. And so my dad had cut him out of the class. I know we're kind of getting off topic, but this is interesting stuff.
Yeah,
so
that is
my dad basically expelled him because he ended up not showing up for a certain amount of time. And so what do you know, a month later the kid goes to the school and ends up shooting up the place.
And your dad wasn't
there. And now
there,
I have
obviously.
buddies. My dad wasn't there. I have buddies who work for Coral Springs Police Department and fire. Guys that I grew up in the area, and I left home basically. You know what I'm saying? So, and they said there was some weird things that did take place, at least with that, pertaining to FBI taking over the scene and not allowing police to go in, especially when shots were still being heard.
Right. That's a weird thing about
interesting. So that's a
weird thing about some of these school shootings. That's another thing about the school stuff. Is the same thing happened in Texas. They wouldn't allow, the cops wouldn't go in. Regardless of that, that's another. We can get into that at a different topic. But
right.
What year?
So I'm gonna play this clip.
Wait, what year was Parkland?
2018.
Oh man, I think it was 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh well, just a year after. So we're gonna play this clip for the viewers here.
And my point with that is that Parkland was brought up. Parkland's remembered a lot more than the Route 91, and then you probably can thank Alex Jones for that.
Actions by aircraft that the LVPD never tried to explain or even acknowledge.
And they're going to stop directly behind the Mandalay Bay. So this first one hovers right there, right over Mandalay Bay, right over the event center. Kind of oval-shaped roof.
There, right over.
Here comes the third.
That's crazy.
And
it's crazy. You could see 2-3 helicopters coming in.
What happened is it turned off its transponder.
Look, they're all turning off the transponders exactly in the same location.
They turn off their transponders as well.
I think there's one of them that keeps it on.
They remain there. No transponder signals come back on.
But I might be wrong.
For the duration of the shooting. So they turned off their transponders at about 9:52, and no more transponders.
They turned off transponders at 9:52.
But what's interesting?
So the first shot was at 10:05.
We have no radar data showing flights in that area.
So they shut off their transponders at 9:52, and the first shot was taken at 10:05. What's most interesting too is in that location where those helicopters are at. Well, there's a private airfield that's there.
Right.
And that private airfield is where the Janet Airlines are located. Where, if you guys don't know what the Janet Airlines are, this is the airline.
Red Stripe. That was the Area 51. Is that?
They're the red striped airplanes that take about 190 in capacity each plane to
the test
Area
sites.
51.
The test
sites.
sites.
It's basic. Yeah, the test sites.
There's more than
which Area 51 is known to be a weapons test site.
Right.
And there's other multiple test sites in the area. I mean, how much of Nevada is owned by
76%, I believe,
government
is owned by the government. 76%, I believe. You can fact check me on that, but Bureau of Land Management owns somewhere around upwards of 70 to 80%.
So what do you guys think about what's your theory? I mean, what could have taken place with the helicopters kind of rolling over that area?
Let me take this too. So the testimonials on video with the documentary. All right, listen. Sorry, I'm making you guys laugh. It's not funny. Okay?
A little funny.
There's multiple testimonials that the shots were coming from a helicopter. There's one where a guy says, "My girlfriend says that helicopter's making funny noises." And he goes, "What do you mean?" "That's a machine gun coming from the helicopter," he told her. And he was one of the guys that was shot in the stomach, I believe. And there's a couple more. There's a couple more testimonials where they see between Delano and Mandalay Bay, there's flashing. And I believe we got a video of that too on here somewhere. I think I sent that to you. But there's flashing in between the Delano, I believe it's the Delano and Mandalay Bay. And you can see muzzle flash.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're saying what their claim is that there was a helicopter rotating around at like a low level?
No, like
or how high in the air are we talking about?
So we're talking about definitely above midway of Mandalay Bay. So upwards towards the top of Mandalay Bay and Delano, in between.
Gotcha.
And there's also, the documentary also goes over ballistics, and she goes over the angle that these people were shot. Some were shot from a ground angle. Some were shot from almost directly above angle. Some were shot from exactly what I was just saying, the angle coming from Mandalay Bay down towards the Route 91 festival.
Right. Well, bullet trajectory would play a huge role in the schematics of all of this.
Do you have that?
Right?
Did you get that video? I know I sent
That's the only one that I know I lost. Damn. I lost that one for sure. Damn. Yeah.
It's a good, they're all good though.
But she was going through in the video and she was showing, who got hit where their injuries were located, and
there's a whole map, right? There's a whole map.
Yeah, there's a whole map of it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this lady really does her homework. Like she does a great job. She did a great job with the documentary. It's incredible the amount of.
I know for sure there was a lot of people that when they first started. I mean, this is like even coming from. I think it was. I don't know if it was the original video. Do you remember that original video where they're videoing from? It had to be maybe 100 feet from Jason Aldean, and they were kind of off to the.
Was there a fence?
2 o'clock, 3 o'clock position of the stage, and so they're videoing, and all of a sudden you hear you hear the
that's
the
the
rounds
video
going
that
off.
they played at
and
the,
they turn
on the
they turn to the left. They turn to the left which is where that Janet Airline property is located.
Okay. And that's not even, that's to the left of
that's to the
Mandalay Bay.
southeast. That's to the southeast of the stage. Yeah. Okay. So they're turning and they're looking to the southeast of the stage where the Mandalay Bay was on the southwest area.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that there weren't gunshots coming from there, coming from the Mandalay Bay.
And that's another thing about
there could have been
this. That's another thing about all this. There's so many people that said there was gunshots rang out from all different angles, all different parts of the area that they're in. Like they were coming from probably where you were saying, and the hotel. I'm not saying Stephen Paddock wasn't involved or he didn't kill anybody. I'm just saying there's more. There's more to it than just him. It wasn't a solo
video here. If you want me to screen share,
I don't think I'll be able to pick it up. Maybe we could try it out.
Okay, give it a shot.
We gonna try it out. Oh yeah, it works. Let's do it. Okay, folks, we're focusing on Louis' screen.
A little bit more digging, and based off what I was able to match between victim reports and the anonymous autopsy findings using things like gender, eye and hair color, tattoos, and the descriptions and placement of their wounds,
this is the video.
I was able to analyze several of the more unusual trajectories. Am I an expert at this? No. But I can read reports and do basic math, which is apparently more effort than the FBI put into this entire investigation. They didn't run ballistics to match the bullets from the victims to the guns in the room either. None that they're willing to release anyway. Most fatalities were hit at the diagonal and downward angle you would expect from someone firing from Mandalay Bay. But not everybody. Those yellow circles are people that were hit with a near perfect parallel ground trajectory, within a difference of a half inch or less.
So pause real quick.
While some could simply be
paused.
Okay, so what are we looking at here?
I think she explained
to describe this. Where's the Mandalay Bay at?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering too.
I'm trying to think where the Mandalay Bay is at.
That's the stage right here in the middle. So I think.
Okay, so Mandalay Bay would be bottom left, and Janet Airline property would be bottom right. If this is how we're looking, because the stage was facing north, because the gunshots did come. Yeah, you can see the people that got. Most of the people that are dead are favoring the left side, so you can see that it's most likely coming from Mandalay Bay in that area. But then they draw the trajectory lines coming from the right side here, which is interesting.
Right. Yeah.
Oh. And you can see these people were running, bro.
Yeah, of course.
These people were running, dude.
Yeah, it's brutal. Absolutely brutal.
She'll probably tell us.
Ricochets, this seems more like a pattern, and coupled with so many witnesses stating they heard shots coming from the main stage and at ground level, certainly deserves more of an investigation than it was given. At least 19 out of the 58 autopsies appear to have parallel trajectories from what I can tell from these reports. That blue circle, the second closest victim to Mandalay Bay, he was hit almost vertically from the top of his head down. That extreme elevated trajectory happened to at least 3 other individuals that night.
It's important where all the bodies were found, right? The first 20 we call were found in front of the stage, and a lot of them had headshots. Then there was a group of 6 bodies that were found in close proximity right between the church and the festival grounds. So this would be on the street on the east side of the festival grounds, which is behind a long privacy wall.
Up there.
They were found along the fence line. So there's no way that a person, if you can't shoot.
Look, pause that. Look at where the sniper is on the right. Did you see that? So you see the right where the guns are located on the right? Yeah, that's the area of what I'm kind of getting at and talking about, to where.
Right. And isn't that where we were looking too? We were on the balcony looking at that too. You were talking about that.
Well, there's talk that there were possible drones, that there were, helicopters. There's talks of that there could have been shooters on the airfield tanks that were out there. I mean, there's all kinds of theories.
So you made it creepy. Theory is the one that I had heard not too long after, like probably within a month of the event. That's the one that I'd heard and had seemed to hold water to me.
Yeah.
Can you summarize that theory real quick?
We'll get into that for sure too.
Wait, you said some creepy stuff earlier about how Paddock was found with computers in his room and that maybe he was the one flying the drones around. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, so they found 8 computers in his room with one of them missing hard drive. So I don't know why one of them, well, I mean, I'm not a super techie guy, but you need a hard drive. Like you need some sort of memory to operate your CPU, GPU, all that kind of stuff. And for the hard drives to be missing, it's kind of like this whole storage, all the information that was on the computer is missing.
Where did it go?
You know what I'm saying?
Where did it go?
Exactly.
I mean,
where did it go?
Like honestly, like the main computer could have been the master, and the other ones could have been slaves, and like it could have run that way. But if you pull the master one, like that's where all the data is, right?
Perhaps everything else.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think this guy was set up. I'm not, again, like Jesse said before, I'm not saying he didn't kill people. I'm not saying that he didn't, do all the shooting. But there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense with his behavior that night. And like at least the things that they found, like it seems excessive.
Yeah. But the whole fact that, remember, like they did not pinpoint a motive on this guy.
Yeah.
At all.
Right.
There's no motive for, and it makes me think that when we're pulling in all this information that, okay, so the helicopters came in, he's got a bunch of computers with high tech, and he's got a bunch of calculations in his in the room.
Right.
They said that they found calculations of bullet trajectory and all this other kind of stuff. Maybe he's putting in that data maybe it's something that they thought were calculations for him shooting and Coriolis effect and all this stuff, but like maybe it was data he was inputting into the system.
He was also
because maybe it's what the drones needed. I don't know.
Wow. They said he was also like, not that there's still not a motive, but he was planning to go to a festival before this. I think it was the iHeart Festival. I think
they said he was planning on going to multiple, because his route of travel was around he was going to different states and locations, and the one that happened was Vegas.
Let's bring this up if you got it. If you don't got it, you're killing me, Smalls. There is a anonymous tipper early September posting on Reddit saying that everybody steer clear of the strip in early October. There's going to be a government operation of high sense, high priority. And I believe I sent you this one. Please tell me you have it.
Is this a video you sent me?
Yeah. Yep.
That's, I mean, if that's,
I don't remember watching
for real,
like that. Let me see.
Like that's a huge thing.
Yeah, there's more than this. There's more than that. I mean, I encourage everybody to watch this documentary. It is packed full of data.
So, okay, so let's say it was real and this was a government operation. Was it like a test?
Right.
Like were they testing?
This is the question.
Like weapons?
This is the question. Why?
Yeah.
Well,
I can't see.
Skunkworks is nearby, right?
Oh yeah.
Skunkworks has
Lockheed Skunkworks.
They have that that private airstrip that is nearby. Don't they have a hangar there?
Oh, I'm sure.
They do. So
they have a hangar there. There was that other Air Force base that you mentioned earlier, right? That's not too far away.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that Air Force base, yeah. So actually, Jesse, it's by the area where we went camping our last camping trip.
Awesome.
Out there. So there is an Air Force base that's located. It's in that south.
You're talking about recently. We just went. The most
recently we just went. Yeah, it's almost like near the river.
That's
where
I go shooting. That's where I go to BLM land. I go out there, go pew pew.
It's
sometimes poo-poo.
It's called the Creech Air Force Base, and it's a United States Air Force command and control facility in Clark County, Nevada. It's used to engage in daily overseas contingency operations and remotely piloted aircrafts.
Okay, just real quick question. Is it on the east side of the road where I am? Is it on that?
Yes.
Or it's on the same
east
side as us, as where we went?
Yeah.
How far away? There's nothing over there. Is it
I don't know
is it on the other side of
exactly.
the river?
I don't know specifics
Okay.
of exactly where it
'Cause I
is,
know
but I do know
there's-
it's real. Now, before 2017 and 2016, there was a lot of protesters that went to that specific base because this is where they hold Predator drones.
Oh,
They
shit.
hold ground-to-air
I didn't even know
drones
that.
on a smaller scale. They're testing all of these things out there.
Right.
And so what's interesting is that, you know, like, was this a weapons test? Did they fly this shit from there, or did they put these things on these helicopters and drop them in the area? Because I mean, if we're talking about like drones, I'm not talking about specifically Predator drones. I'm talking about like drones that people fly like
With a
today,
gun hanging off of it.
with an AR hanging off of it. And so I'll bring up on the stream right now.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you have that one ready.
Yeah, so we'll bring that up right now, and so let me bring this up. And this is what I'm talking about. So this is called the AR-1, and this is a drone that can fire an assault rifle. And if we look at it, dude, Louis, check this out. You gotta see it on the stream. It's sick now. When this theory came out in 2017, heard a guy talking about it. It was not as good looking as this. Like, this one is sexy.
Not so good looking.
I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah. So, and I know that in 2017 these gained a lot of popularity because we, as the United States military, were sending these drones over to Israeli military, and we were sending them over there because they don't want a lot of soldiers dying in the constant, you know, hundreds of years of war that they've been at with the Palestinians. But this is real, people. These drones
exist.
Are real. They exist. And this is what a lot of people may have been claiming that they were hearing in the air, you know, gunfire, you know, from all angles. These things are not particularly loud, like, especially if they're 100, 150 feet in the air. You can't feel the wind. You can't hear them necessarily, but the gunfire is going to be, you know, pretty obvious. And so this goes over. So this isn't, so the AR-1 designed for mounting lightweight weapons such as submachine guns and assault rifles, highly shockproof, high strength, high endurance. In the front line of war zone or special police attack, when the enemy and friendly are in a stalemate, they can carry out multi-angle attacks and disturbances in the air to gain the advantage of attacking and moving forward. Wow, I didn't know that kind of strategy behind it. But these things are pretty accurate too. I was even watching videos of them shooting these rifles at targets that were 100 yards out, and they were pretty accurate.
Wow.
I think this goes. I mean, there's a video here. We'll play a video too.
What?
We'll play a video.
Where did you see that? Where was it? Like a private?
No, I'm sure he just saw it on YouTube somewhere.
Well, right. But who the hell's performing that? Like, that's crazy.
Look. There's a video of it right now.
This isn't new. Like, they've been working on this tech and
no doubt
stuff for a long time.
I could assume that and be 100%.
Oh my gosh, dude. It's insane. Golly. But yeah, that's interesting, to say the least.
Drone. So this particular one in this article, though, says it's a Taiwanese company.
Yeah, I'm assuming because of the hardware that's in it, maybe the CPU or the GPU or something.
Chipset.
Maybe it's ran by an NVIDIA Maybe the same graphics card I have right now.
I highly doubt it.
Dude, well, listen, if it has the ability to be controlled with a computer, it's got to have a graphics card. It's got to have a CPU.
But I'm just saying,
right?
You would think that their
now
graphics card is way better, bro, than yours, dude.
Right. But it now, as I'm starting to think about this, I'm kind of thinking like, was Paddock really controlling drones inside the room?
That's interesting.
Because he has to be within range, right?
Right.
For maybe those types of computer systems that are affiliated with those drones. I'm sure the Predator drones are completely different. Those things you can fly.
They can't hover though.
Hundreds of miles away.
They can't hover though like that. I'm sure they
have.
No.
What I'm saying the latency in connection and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I gotcha.
From a remote control to.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So. But what's also interesting putting this whole theory together is that the Janet Airlines is owned by a guy named Ernie Moody. And so he doesn't own it specifically, but he is the guy who owns the warehouse that's out there. And inside this warehouse, he's got like a bunch of toys. He's got a Batmobile. He's a super rich guy. He makes $25 million a month. Okay.
Light work.
But what I found interesting, a connection that I made between Ernie Moody and Paddock is that Ernie Moody runs and controls the patent for video game poker.
What?
And what was Paddock most interested in the gambling field? Was video game poker.
Video
game poker.
Yes.
Video poker.
So it wasn't
specifically video poker.
Yeah, so video poker is different from like you going and playing a friend's party poker. Video poker is like 5 cards.
Yeah, it's completely no, video poker can be anything, but it's like those things that you see in the casinos where it's got a girl with like a bra and she's the dealer, and it's kind of like a screen that's
wait
the dealer that's
because the video poker that everybody knows here is like 5-card stud, and the 5 cards pop up, you pick the best hand you can.
Sure. Right, yeah, it could be. Well, there's different games of poker, but yeah, exactly
gambler,
like what you're saying.
And a habitual gambler.
Yeah. So, what if it's possible that maybe they even used that private property to get these drones in the air? It's
very
secured with a. It's very possible.
It's right across the street. Right?
Yeah, it's right across the street. Like the airport's right there.
All right, now, so if Paddock's the mastermind behind this, right, and he's got his buddy across the street, why is it that the police are caught on camera saying, "Is everybody's body cam off? Is everybody's body cam off?" Like, what's that about?
We'd have to ask the cop.
Like, why? Why are you turning all your body cams off? Pull that video up real quick. That's a short one.
Yeah.
Pull that video.
It is super interesting.
Sounds like it goes against just basic SOG right out of the gate.
Which is SOG is what?
Standard operating guidelines, or it could be SOP, standard operating procedure.
What's up with you military guys? You guys just acronyms for everything. Just shorter, faster. All right, I'll shut up. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Forgive me. I'm a civilian, like I said earlier.
Shorter and faster, buddy. Just like sex.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So what are you bringing up now, Stevie?
So it's a video.
Trying to bring it up, but the video actually deleted.
Oh, fuck me.
No.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Yeah, it's okay. This is the first time we're kind of working out our production.
It's a video.
Value,
yeah.
So.
We're trying some new stuff.
Yep.
Trying some new stuff.
Technicality.
So I'll see. I'm gonna try and bring it up on. I'll try and bring it up, but we can keep it flowing here while.
So yeah, there's a video of that, and it seems this, at least this documentary and everything coming out of it, it really seems like it was a coordinated mass construction, and there's more to just the cops doing that. Stephen Paddock, the projectiles and the trajectory. It's also has to go into money. And after this video, we can kind of dive into that. There is a lot of big names. The CEOs and CEO of MGM is involved with this. There's a lot of big names that took money out or were betting against the MGM stock in September, early September, a month before this, or not even a month before this happened. So it just
it's weird.
Yeah, we'll pull that video up too after this, but
yeah, sorry. So I got the video up now. We'll transition into it. So this is a video of cops that
Metro Police Department.
Mm-hmm. That were told to shut their body cams off.
Turn their body cams off.
That's crazy, dude. Cameras off. Cameras off.
To turn their body
cameras
cams off.
We'll play it one more time. Play it one more time for everybody, and I'll pause the tweet. So it says, that's interesting. The Reno Police Department reported the door had been left unlocked and the window blew open the door. I guess, I don't know. See, there's so much like cross information that's just like not making sense.
It's because the narrative from the media was fabricated completely. And there is so many. The reason why there's so many holes is because there's just people knew this information. There's people that had the key card information and the data from the hotel. I mean, there's so many holes in the narrative. There's so many.
I was watching some footage today of the public information officer debrief of the entire investigation, the situation.
Dude, it's so ridiculous how he
and it's it. What's crazy is
so ridiculous.
I don't know. I forget who it was. I think it might have been the actual police chief.
Yeah, dude,
Louis. It literally looked like he was. Well, first of all, he's reading off of a paper, like 100%. His eyes didn't come off of the paper, but there's a dude that's standing over his left shoulder that is locked in on him, and that is like, it's almost like he's making sure that you are reading off of that paper.
Right.
And what's crazy is because a lot of the journalists that were in the crowd, they're asking him specific questions that don't pertain to the information that he's disclosing. And it's almost like they're questioning, the whole narrative that he's, telling everybody. Yeah. And he's constantly just shutting this question down. He's like, I can't answer this. We can't get into this. It's an investigation. We can't get into this.
Live. I remember watching.
And what's crazy, dude, is the guy that's over his left shoulder literally snaps and looks at a lady.
Ooh.
And he looks to his right. Ooh. And he's like, does like this like body. He's talking with his body. And he looks again at her like, dude, this guy didn't blink, bro. He didn't there's no emotion, dude. Like total reptilian, dude, bro.
Did you see the video?
Total lizard.
Did you see the video recently of the girl that's lipping everything? She's sitting behind exactly in the same spot. Like she's sitting behind this lady in like Congress or something, and this lady's speaking, and she is literally like got her eyes wide open and she's lipping everything that the lady is saying. Like she's like memorized this speech. She has to say it this way. And it's almost like she does it so well and in sync with when she's talking.
Ventriloquist.
Yes, exactly. So, that's what it made it seem like. You guys didn't see that video? That was recent. That was only a few months ago.
So Christian is dope 23 left a comment. She says, yeah, but there was a lot of footage of loud helicopters swirling the area and dust everywhere. Exactly. Which I don't doubt it. But what do you think about the helicopters being some sort of like diversion to like what could be possibly really going on?
Okay, so I have a rebuttal.
Or we're talking.
So one of the testimonials, the person saw with his girlfriend into the helicopter, and they could see there was a curtain, and behind the curtain there was muzzle flashes. So
where was this? Where was this?
Where?
Wait, where were they looking? What were they looking at?
I don't remember where exactly they were looking. I believe they were looking between the Delano and Mandalay, like I was saying earlier. I believe that's the direction we're looking in.
So
gotcha.
So shooting from the helicopter behind the curtain.
Behind the curtain.
Flashes.
There was muzzle flashes.
I guess we're just assuming that it's muzzle flashes because.
Yeah, of course. Are they just up there taking pictures of everybody getting
and people
shot?
Are getting shot. Right.
Now I know that there were the gunfire when it was going on. I mean, it was more than just a 30-round magazine. I think there were a lot of high-powered magazine. I think they found high-powered magazines.
Oh man,
high capacity magazines.
Oh yeah, you listen to the videos.
It's
like it's going on for a while. Like I have an AR. I mean a 30-round capacity regular magazine, right? But that I mean the video is like you're looking at like something belt fed, like a saw or something like that. Like there's a
saw, yeah.
There's a lot.
I mean, I've even seen videos to where they were showing the video of a saw shooting and the sound.
Very similar.
And then they were comparing that
what do
sound
you think about that,
to
Louis?
the actual footage.
Do you think that's accurate?
Between bump stocks and like
a fucking saw?
A saw rattling off. Like I've shot both.
Yeah.
So it's hard to initially, at least, it's difficult to get the rhythm of shooting a bump stock.
I agree.
It's not hard to get good at, but like unless you've practiced it.
Yeah, you have to practice it for sure. You can't just can't just pick it up and do it. You're not going to get it right.
And unless you have a lot of practice with it, I would say you're not taking accurate shots. Right?
It's not reliable either, right? In that way too, yeah.
Right. So there's that, and with the saw, like a well-maintained one, it'll lay waste to what's in front of it.
Right. How many rounds, like the highest capacity, like what do you call it, a bucket? What holds? Is it considered a magazine? It's not, right? What holds all the rounds?
And I can't remember. They have little 100-round pouches, but the standard is a 200-round box that's on the side.
Right. That's a standard, 200 rounds.
Yeah.
That sounds more like it. 200 rounds goes
pretty quick. Do you think this story has a lot of similarities with like the JFK assassination, which is like as far as
angles,
the affiliation, with the fall man and the government?
Yep, I agree.
It does. I mean, those type of looks things. Like it came out of the same playbook. But the question is, though, at this point, what were they like? Who were the people in the crowd that got killed? Was it anybody important? Was it? Was there something else that happened? Event-wise, that like did some law get passed that this distracted people from? They like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's like, the one.
There's so many angles.
Was it a look over here while I?
Yeah, smoke and mirrors.
Shove this dildo up you on, kind of deal.
Right,
like,
and
that's
the thing too. It's like what I was saying earlier. You got all these big bankers like George Soros, these big industrialists, these guys. George Soros in September of the same year.
Was it just money then, do you think?
Well, no, this is the thing. This is the thing that I'm like, obviously they knew about it because of how they're moving their money. MGM offered $1 billion buyback. And I believe
I can play the George Soros video too, and the CEO one. So we'll cut over to this and we'll play this video.
Soros bought $42 million worth of put options on MGM. That means he's betting their stocks will fall. And when he does, he'll make a killing. Because, hey, is it even really an evil conspiracy theory without George Soros somehow involved? Starting on September 10th in 2017, 3 cryptic messages from the same anonymous user pop up on Reddit foreseeing an upcoming planned false flag event in Vegas. He warns people to stay away from large crowds because the government is working on something called a high incident project to make the American public think places with security aren't safe enough and create more regulations requiring metal detectors in casinos, etc. He specifically states OSI and the Chertoff Group will be involved, although he's not certain of the exact date, but that Vegas is on their mind. What's interesting is that Snopes scoffs at the messages as unproven, not because they couldn't prove they were false or true, but because they deemed it too vague to be taken seriously. Sounded pretty specific to me. If you don't know who Chertoff is, he's Bush's former Secretary of Homeland Security, where despite the major conflict of interest, he demanded agencies install certain security machines, which he just so happened to own the companies for. He's better known as a co-sponsor of the Patriot Act, where he used the tragedy of 9/11 to push through legislation that allowed the government to spy on Americans through our phones and computers without a warrant. If you're not familiar with Snowden, watch Citizen4 for homework tonight, and you'll quickly understand how the deep state is able to blackmail and control everyone into oblivion. It's also in September that MGM execs approve a $1 billion share repurchase program. Yet despite that push, by the end of the week, Jim Murren would divest himself of 80% of his own MGM stock. Did he foresee something drastic happening that would lower their worth? Aside from Mandalay Bay, MGM Resorts also owns Luxor, Bellagio, New York, the Mirage, and the MGM Grand. Keep those in mind for later when, despite overwhelming evidence including 911 calls made by their own security, they all deny shootings occurred on their property.
Holy shishkies.
Okay, is that done?
So that was that's all done. That was a lot of information.
Yeah, it was. Let me just go into real quick. I watched a documentary a couple months ago, blew me away. Super unknown documentary. I actually found it on Reddit too. I'm not ever on Reddit, but when I want to find something that's unknown, or documentaries that aren't easy to find, anything that's not easy to find on the internet, the easiest way to do it is just Google it and then put Reddit after your Google in your title.
Yeah.
I found a documentary called "Everything Is a Rich Man's Trick." It's actually on YouTube. You can find it. Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. It's a 3-hour documentary with a British man that is very knowledgeable, and that's probably not the right accent, but he's like sitting on this typical like British like chair and like in a suit and stuff, and he's just got receipts on everything. But basically this documentary displays that it's proof that they're the big industrialists from America and around the world, mostly America at this time, were playing both sides in World War I and World War II. So to answer your question, Louis, it is about the money, but it's also about the control. And to keep the money and to keep the control, it's almost one and the same. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I mean, I don't put it past them, like some rich people just paying off whoever to do this. Like,
but again, maybe like you said earlier, maybe they're testing.
Yeah, well, it's just as plausible as a test. Like, and the government or skunk works or whatever, it could be in conjunction.
Right.
Like, they all work together.
4 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah.
6 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah.
It couldn't be.
I'm actually really curious of like who, now when Louis said something earlier, like who was at this concert.
Oh yeah. I didn't think about that either.
You know what I'm saying?
Like the Buffalo shooting in upstate New York in Tops. Mm-hmm. There was a man, Robert, I believe his first name was Robert. He invented a generator, and he had the whole thing patented, and a generator that pretty much ran off water, hydrogen. I believe it converted water to hydrogen. So he was shot in that incident. Like this is recent too. That one was the Buffalo shooting.
Yeah, we can't have people running
free
their
energy
engines and creating electricity off of easily attainable stuff.
And it's kind of like the whole Malaysian airline event, like the whole Malaysian flight disappearing out of nowhere. Well, there were people that were in a lot of they first of all, there's a huge patent when it comes to microchips for the people that were on that plane. I forget their names, but they were in majority. They owned majority of the patent, and so what happened is those people died, and who slid right in behind them, because who was right behind them in that patent ownership was Rothschild. And whoop, boom, Rothschild scooped right in, scooped up the patent, and I think it has, I forget what it is, but it has to deal with microchips. Malaysia area, all that kind of stuff. They run that whole kind of Philippine. Is it Philippines? No, Malaysia. Where is that?
I think you're right. It's Asia.
Indonesia, something like that. Medo, Persian.
Bunch of islands.
But it's kind of the same. Yeah, it's kind of like the same situation.
Yeah.
And they can get away with doing all this kind of stuff, especially if they own the FBI, and
Oh yeah,
they own the NSA, and they don't own, but they definitely have heavy influence on all that stuff. That's why they're called the deep state, right?
right.
Mm-hmm.
That's another,
So
that's another thing that Christian brought up to me earlier. Like, there's so many accounts of the FBI just framing people. There's so many.
yeah,
This kind of, because I believe that the FBI probably had something to do with this, or that the paddock was set up in a way. Like, it makes me think of the Pulse nightclub shooting.
Oh, I forgot
dude.
about that in Orlando.
In Orlando.
Oh
Super
yeah.
tragic event, but the FBI had been in contact with this guy twice in the month or 2 months prior. And they, obviously they didn't do anything because he hadn't broken any laws yet. But like there are people who are suggesting that like he got the weapons and he was influenced by his interactions with the FBI. And I mean, how many times there's stories that pop up all the time that like people that do stuff were either influenced by the FBI, was that senator or congressperson or whoever in, what was it, Idaho, Ohio, Michigan, somewhere. Remember, she like there was a plot to kidnap her, and everybody that was involved was like an FBI informant.
Jeez.
You guys still remember that? It was like 5 people that were involved, and they were all FBI informants.
Oh,
God.
wait.
Jeez.
Are you talking about what event? I'm sorry. What event were you talking about?
There's that plot to kidnap like a congressman or senator or whatever.
Yes. Yep. And even with the January 6th shit, Ray Epps guy, like he was said to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was also FBI informant, wasn't he?
Yeah, there's multiple too. Yeah, there's that.
Well, even
No, go ahead.
well, even when you go back to the whole, remember the Colorado shooting in the movie theater?
Oh yeah, fuck.
Remember that had to be like, what was that? It got to be like 12
Like
years
the Dark
ago now,
Knight.
or
Was it the
something like
Dark
that?
Knight when the Dark Knight came out?
Yeah. It was when the Dark Knight came out. Yeah, the FBI knew about him. I mean, the Valentine Massacre shooting in Parkland, Florida, the FBI was onto him.
Yeah,
they knew about the nefarious thinking of these individuals. I would assume, because they have records of all of this stuff, that they were tracking these individuals, but they just don't do.
Okay, so
they didn't do anything.
Plot twist. Ready?
Uh-oh.
You know.
I have something to say about that, Stephen, but let's hear the plot twist.
Plot twist.
Yeah.
The FBI is actually covering their ass by telling you they were in contact, but it's more like MK Ultra contact, where they were swindling these people into doing these events.
Well, if you look into it, all these people are on medications. Like they're all on medications.
And what did they
when
do
you
in
dig
MK Ultra?
into?
They did the same thing. They
did
doped
the
these
same
fuckers
thing,
up
dude,
and convinced them to do whatever they wanted.
Dude, what if it's like some sort of like alchemy to a certain point, to where like they can manipulate these people through medications? A lot of this stuff goes back towards like sorcery and like ancient history and all that kind of gist. But like,
I mean, if you get people in the right state of mind,
I don't know.
They're very susceptible to influence.
We're going down this rabbit hole of the you said alchemy, and I thought of metals, and I thought of graphene oxide, and then I thought of the signal, and then I thought of the thing coming in my brain and just taking over.
Well, alchemy pertains to different things now. But it's the origins were like turning things into gold and all that kind of stuff. But
when you say alchemy, I think Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah. Guns. Also, there's guns in that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But so the FBI having contact with people, and then like knowing that they're fucking weirdos, or that they might have the tendency or propensity to do something nefarious. Like, there's nothing for the FBI to do necessarily if they haven't broken any laws. And I'm totally on board with that. Like, no laws were broken.
Well, that's freedom, right? That's liberty, right?
I'm allowed to be as fucking weird as I want and hate as many people as I want all day long.
Right.
Until I break a law. Leave me the fuck alone.
Right. And that's a thing that they're using too in like legislation is like, oh well, we need more surveillance or we need this.
Peace and security. Cry out for peace and security.
Well. I mean, we have the Patriots Act now, so I mean, really, that Fourth Amendment right is kind of out the window. So we're going to monitor your Facebook. We're going to monitor all this other type of stuff. But it's like Louis said, you know, they can't like
monitor
impede on your freedoms.
Yeah, monitor this fucker.
Yeah. So this is all kind of crazy. Because there's so many other events that are
similar.
Like this one.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah.
But again, we go back to like you saying, like, and Christian said in the comments, exactly the biggest shooting in our history, and they brushed it under the rug. Like, what makes this one so different? I think it's because there's holes.
I think it's because, but I think it's because of years and years and years of conditioning, bro. Like you have to understand, like TW8 or TWA Flight 800, like that crap happened 20 years ago now, and they were doing the same thing, but they just do these little tiny things to where
your
government cover up, government cover up, government cover up. It had to have been 20 years ago now, dude. It had to be 20 years ago. I think it happened in early 2000s or maybe 1990, late 90s, I think. Late 90s? Could be wrong, but I'm definitely going to look that up now. But my whole point is, dude, is like, I think what they're really good at now, what the CIA is really good at, right? Mockingbird, right? Especially this pertains a lot to the media. A lot to
That's
the
what
media.
Mockingbird is.
Or medium.
Yeah, explain Mockingbird real
just
quick.
So Mockingbird is where the CIA, you know, basically didn't take over, but they put themselves into the position of the media sources to where they can manipulate propaganda and have the freedom to use their intelligence in any way, shape, or form that they wanted to. And the media is a huge thing because now we're like, the media is super big into manipulating people's behavior. All it is it's like that. Yeah. It's like that in the early 1900s. I'll look up his name, but there was a guy who did. I take notes on my phone like nonstop, dude, because I have a terrible memory.
That's the best way to do it.
But there's a guy who, in the early 1900s, he came up with this study. So the guy's name is Ivan Pavlov.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever heard the study that he came up with
and all that.
Well, not only that, but it was the bell and the food for the dogs. So he was able to condition the dogs to every time he rang the bell, he was feeding the dogs, and the dogs thought that whenever the bell rang, that they were getting fed. And so he controlled their behavior in that fashion to where, I mean, even when the dogs wouldn't eat for 8 to 10 to 12 hours, they were still salivating and waiting there
for the bell
because they heard the bell once. Yeah. And like their behavior was completely controlled.
Yeah.
Super interesting study. We should talk about that a lot further because it's huge.
Pavlovian response.
Right? But yeah, it's just the conditioning process, man, to where people aren't going to ask. I think the purpose of it, right? The whole purpose of conditioning is people be like, well, what's the point? The point is to not have people ask questions
or fight back,
and to people just listen and go, "Oh, we're fed.
Right,
I'm good." That's
right.
It. You know,
let's talk about conditioning a little bit.
It's simple.
Let's talk about that a little bit because this is huge and it's so relevant. So what do you think the biggest conditioning event that just happened recently is, and why?
Oh shoot, geez, there's so much going on.
The biggest conditioning event.
Lockdowns.
Yes. Stupid mask. Yeah. Sorry. Jeez.
Not only the masks, but definitely the masks. The masks were a big part of it. But not only that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much intricacy that goes into the lockdowns, like the 6 feet apart, and then you can't go in the hospital to see your loved one. It's so demoralizing.
And I think they're so
stupid fucking rule.
Yeah, and they're so conditioned now to when it does happen again, bam, bam, bam. Bam.
Roll over.
You know, they're gonna fall
like the
in line. Oh, I know what to do now. I know where to buy my masks. I know how to wear them properly now.
Kevin Hart's got.
I'm good. I'm ready for another pandemic that Bill Gates says that is going to happen, and this one will be worse.
Damn it, he did.
Oh my God,
he did. And then he just recently released fucking mosquitoes with malaria into the. Not only poor people don't have to die, rich people can die too. And he releases mosquitoes into the fucking crowd, and everybody laughs. You stupid fucks. Bunch of fucking idiots.
Jeez.
Conditioning, just like you said. It's just like, ha, 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 it's a joke.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing was watching him on a TED Talk, and he was like, yeah, the one way we can reduce population by 70%, he said, in the next 12 years, like 15 years, he said. That's a lot of people, bro. That's a lot of people, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, a lot of people. He goes,
that's a lot of people.
He goes, healthcare, which what is the third leading cause of death in the United States, which is medicine. Healthcare, he said, reproductive health, which is your, eugenics, and then he said vaccines. So those three things, dude. This guy is fulfilling his great grandfather's fucking agenda, dude. That's all he's doing. He's able to do it.
Eugenics
they got the money. I'm telling you, man. And he doesn't just do it because he's willing to help children in Africa and all this kind of stuff and all these low income populations.
Well, everywhere he goes,
uncontacted.
I mean, we're way the fuck off topic right now.
Well, this is the beautiful thing about being off topic with something like this is because it all ties together. And when you really, truly open your mind, you end up going down the rabbit hole and realizing that it's all tied together.
Right.
It really is, for sure.
So
we'll wheel this. Let's wheel this back in. Yeah. Clip it. You clip it.
You clip it. You're the producer, Jamie.
Clip it.
I'm Christian, dude.
Yeah, fuck you. Christian does a better job than me in everything.
Yeah, Christian's awesome. So what are we thinking? Do we think that, I guess we can come down, I think we really laid out the entire footwork of this whole thing. I mean, I don't think there's really much anything left. But
I guess we gotta, to tie it all, put a little bow on it. I mean, I guess we're not, like, we haven't really solved anything. We've just,
neither does,
we've just talked about a bunch of shit.
Neither does the girl in the documentary. And that's the thing. It's like, it's not solvable because it was a big operation swept under the rug. And they gave you the one narrative that it's a solo operation and boop, case closed. We're done. We're out of here.
Yeah. And I think it's sad because people do deserve more than that.
Oh,
well, they do, and that's not fair that these people that can play this Monopoly game because they own the board game, they could do whatever they want. They are the bank. It's just,
so
it's insane.
Then I guess are we all in agreement that this was an operation? I guess we just have to decide, like, all right, Stevie, do you think it was a government operation, a money operation? Do you think it was a test? Do you think it was just a distraction?
Or all of the above?
What I personally think, I think all those things are correct.
Right.
But what I really think, like from the spirit of all of this, is like it was some sort of opportunity to where the government can test certain new technology. They could use a fall guy that they knew that was manipulated through medications and all these other things, and that his life was really going. His life wasn't going up; it was going down, if anything. Right. And so
nobody liked him. His family.
He could have even been a part of this whole thing to where he was like, sure, yeah, I'll be a part of it for a money scandal. And they just kind of framed him at the end, and then he's just, oh my gosh, dude! They said they were going to come get me. Boom.
Yeah,
that's another thing.
Kind of took himself out.
There could have been someone else in the room with him that they shot him in the fucking head.
Yes.
Took the hard drive and dipped out.
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's where you get the two rooms and the two angles, right? Because there were people that said that there were gunshots coming from those two rooms simultaneously. There are reports of that. And I think that is possible, that it was kind of like in the movie Shooter, right? Mark Wahlberg is there and he's like, they're going to get him now. They're going to shoot him now. They're going to shoot him. Because he's there, trying to prevent an assassination from taking place. But he got framed right in the middle of it. And when he turned around, it was that police officer that shot him right in the chest. It's kind of like they kind of put these optics in front of you,
Hollywood deal,
to kind of play with your fiction, nonfiction part of your subconscious, so that like when real things do take place, you're just like
desensitized,
some sort of conditioning effect. Yeah, desensitized to it, all this kind of stuff. But I do think that it was more than just Stephen Craig Paddock that night. 100%. I think there's a lot of eyewitness testimony that is alternative to the official story. And I think that there's a lot of questions that were swept under the rug, just kind of like how TWA 800, like they didn't even ask witnesses to come to that hearing for that particular event.
So explain that real quick, because I don't remember that. What is TWA?
Well, it was a plane that was believed to be shot down by
one of our missiles,
by missiles, multiple missiles, ground to air missiles, Stingers, and that they shot this plane down. But the CIA came out with a graphic representation, a graphic art representation, that it was the fuselage that exploded. We should do a show on this. It's really good, and I'm very educated in this. I've watched it 10 times, and so that they said that the explosion came from the fuselage, and that it exploded, and that the head of the airplane fell off, and that the airplane continued to ascend in the air for hundreds and hundreds of feet with no nose on it. No nose on it. And they said that the missiles that they saw were the plane going upward into the sky as a fireball. Complete bullshit. This was off of the coast of Long Island, New York. Super interesting stuff. But I'll get back on top.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that there could have been possibly someone in the concert that they needed to take out, or it could have been some sort of political bias, event, to where it was, a part of the government, but they did it to get back at the people who, like the Second Amendment, and that probably most of the crowd were, of the right or Republicans. You know what I'm saying? So they kind of like kissed them with that poison in a way,
right?
To where it could have been political nature, in spirit wise. You know what I'm saying? If you understand what I'm saying. But that's kind of my gist on it. I do think there's a bunch of different outcomes.
Okay.
To this whole story.
Should I give mine or Louis go?
For sure. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Because of the Reddit post, because of that like anonymous Reddit post saying in early October, steer clear of the Strip, the government is planning an operation. Because of that, and because of George Soros, my gut tells me that it is kind of the all of the above situation, that they are maybe testing new weapons, and they're testing how to use those weapons. Scenarios. This is one big test. And at the same time, just like insider trading, George Soros and other people that are on the in can capitalize on that and make their money. So
make their money.
Right. Yeah. So this was a
kind of similar to how like the Trade Center towers and the guy who owned it, insurance scheme, and then the Titanic, right? Insurance scheme.
The same insurance company, by the way.
Same ideas.
Same insurance company owned the Titanic, the Hindenburg, the Twin Towers. There's a few more. But regardless, yes, I'm totally on board that it's all of the above. I think Stephen Paddock, and just looking at him in his picture, he looks like a fucking slime ball. So I'm good with faces. This is what I do. I'm good with faces. I'm really I'm a personable guy. I think the guy is a slime ball, so I think he might have been part of it. Yeah, I think like Louis said, I think maybe they were like, "Hey, we'll do this for you if you do this," and he's like, "Fuck it, let's go, let's do it." And then he ended up. I don't think he killed himself because he landed on top of his gun. So, and like it was like under his foot. It looked like he was placed there, and there was like he's placed at a part where there was dry blood on the carpet, and there was fresh blood next to it. It's just a whole debauchery. But yeah, I mean, I think we're all on the same deal. What do you think, Louis?
Just so I'd watched a podcaster talk about this years ago, and that's always had me on that it was a drone test theory, like for years, right? And I think that based on what you guys covered tonight and some of the other discussions we had a little bit earlier today, I can't oh, excuse me, sorry, right in the mic. I can't stop thinking that it was not just about money, but like an opportunity for multiple people to get what they want. Right? Like someone like George Soros, he made this he knew something that this company needed to do some testing, and they're like, well, we might do it over here, might do this. And he's like, well, if we short this place, then I can make a shit ton of money on this. And then I'll throw a little bit towards you to fund your project. And maybe you can sell me one of these drones. By the way, this asshole over here who won't sell me his patent on whatever is going to be in the crowd tonight. Like, he just started some brand new thing or whatever. I saw his video on YouTube, and I've been trying to get him to sell me his stuff. He won't do it, and
fuck him.
Fuck this guy especially.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think too. On top of that, I think it was supposed to have a different culture shock than it did. I think it reversed on them to where they were like, our cover-ups were not that good.
Yeah.
We need to slide this through because yeah, I think it was supposed to have a different political outcome also, right? Because there's that side that has to get their cheese, cheese.
That's exactly going back to my point and the documentary's point, is that the reason why they swept this biggest shooting massacre in the United States history, they swept it under the rug, was because there's too many holes. There was too many holes. So they did everything they could to scrub the internet. They did everything they could to just get the media to stop talking about it. And it is what I mean, it's totally obvious. It really is.
Agreed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it was a good show, man. I had a lot of fun. This was we had a lot of great ideas. Again, this is like a revolving door with this kind of shit, right?
Never ends.
Yeah, because we know so many other events that took place that have a lot of similarities with it, and we just start merging and creating this fucking robot out of this whole conspiracy stuff of different pieces.
Conspiracy.
I think we got an email. Yeah. I think we got an email the other day from the FBI, so that's interesting too.
Nice. I'm glad I'm still alive. That's good.
I am too.
But that is going. Yeah, for sure.
Me too.
We gotta live.
I gotta say that. I guess.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm glad I'm still alive.
Yeah. They scared.
I am scared.
They scared. Yeah. But that's gonna conclude our show tonight, and we thank everyone for participating with us. Booty Juice, thank you for the comments. I love it.
Yeah, thanks, Booty Juice.
Yeah.
Booty, shout out to Booty again, Juice. What a name there. Oh wait, Booty Juicy.
Booty Juicy.
What the hell? Booty
Juicy. Even better. So if you haven't followed or shared or participated in being a part of this show, please go ahead and do so. It is greatly appreciated. We love it.
Share us with your friends.
And oh yes.
And keep an eye out for the shorts on YouTube. We're coming in hot. We're coming in hot everywhere.
Oh yeah.
We're about to blow up the scene here soon. We're about to fix the production. We're about to fix everything. We're coming in hot.
Oh yeah. But that's gonna be it, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have a good night.
Night.
See ya.